The Department of Transportation conservatively estimates that there are more than 800,000 shipments of hazmat every day, over 3 billion tons each year. The numbers are staggering. Even more staggering is the fact that the vast majority of these shipments arrive at their destinations safe and secure. How does this happen? The answer is really quite simple. Everyone who has anything to do with hazmat has to take the time to know and understand what they're doing. It's people like you and me doing what we do and doing it right that make the difference. Don't get me wrong, accidents do happen. It's a reality of life. There are more than 13,000 hazardous material spills and leaks each year. What's worse, many of them could have been prevented. The majority happened because somebody made a mistake, a human error, resulting in millions of dollars in cleanup costs and repairs, and sometimes loss of life. And let's not forget about damage to the environment, the threat it poses to the world's population. These kinds of costs are impossible to calculate. More easily determined are the fines associated with hazmat violations, anywhere up to $100,000 per violation and jail time. When the violation is ongoing, each new day results in a new and separate offense. We're talking big money here. The hazardous materials transportation process is serious business with serious consequences when not done correctly. That's one reason why the government is so involved and why we should be too.
Hazmat transportation is a very serious process. The moving of the materials through the hazmat transportation process is important that things be transported carefully, safely from points A to B.
The reason the regulations are important is, again, because it reinforces consistency. If everybody shipped hazardous materials in a different way, it would be very difficult to know what you're getting when you receive materials, and it would be nearly impossible for emergency responders to know how to respond in the event of an emergency if there wasn't a consistency that the regulations give us.
If you're part of the hazmat transportation process, whether it's preparing shipping papers, labeling, marking boxes, loading, unloading, driving, you have an important role in getting that material from point A to point B safely and securely. It's a role we can't take lightly. Not only do we have to know how to do the job correctly, it's also important to understand why we do what we do, as far as the whole hazardous materials transportation process is concerned. That's where the DOT comes in. A department was created to focus solely on the safe transportation of hazardous materials. The Pipeline and Hazardous Materials Safety Administration, or PHMSA, is responsible for making sure each shipment of hazardous materials arrives safely and securely at its destination. In all modes of transportation, pipeline, air, water, rail, as well as our focus in this training program, highway transport. Hazardous materials, or hazmat, are substances that may pose a threat to public safety or the environment during transportation because of their unique physical, chemical, or nuclear properties. The hazmat regulatory system is a risk management system that is prevention-oriented, focused on identifying a safety hazard and reducing any probability of a hazmat incident occurring. The DOT's Hazardous Materials Transportation Safety Program has always concentrated on reducing the risks associated with the unintentional release of hazmat, also known as a hazardous materials incident.
We don't want to have a hazmat incident or accident happen simply because we're looking at the possibility that we could have a loss of life, we could have damage to property. It's just something that we don't want to have happen.
We need to make sure that hazmat incidents don't occur simply because it's bad for the environment, it's bad for people, and it's bad for business.
It's only as safe as those people who have to deal with it make it. And each individual, is, if they're responsible for their part, whether it's generating it, drumming it, transporting it, disposing of it, the importance is to the individual how they handle their job. Do it correctly, don't cut corners. And that can make it safe.